of matter. And this episode is mundane astrology, and it raises the hypothesis that there can be war in the region of Belgium. And I'm going to talk about my astrological considerations, and I'm going to talk about my predictions as well from a mundane level. So right now we're looking at the chart of Belgium. We ignore the ascendant and midheaven because we don't have a birth time for this. This is taken from astrodeans.com, so reputable source. But I want to begin. A while ago in Netherlands, the biggest party was the PVV by Mr. Geert Wilders. And what Geert established when he founded the party in 2006, okay? Notice the ecliptic polarity here. We're having a nodal return. We're approaching a nodal return to 2006. And one of the things that he mentioned right in 2006 when he founded the party was the annexation of regions in Belgium. He called it to unite with. Okay, now you understand, and all Belgium has no necessarily desire to unite with, to give up territory. You understand that this is annexation, very much similar to the concept of annexing Crimea or other regions in the world where a country wants to have another part of another country. Now, while politically I don't get into that deeply, yes, there are Dutch-speaking, there are Flemish-speaking parts of Belgium, and with Dutch proximity and so on and so forth. I'm not getting into that. Of course, there were people in Crimea that were more favoring of Putin. There are some people, if you would meet, that come from Crimea that would tell you I'm Russian rather than I'm Ukrainian. So I'm not going to not present the intricacy, but also on a mundane level, this does mean invasion and war. And what I wanted to check was actually the chart of Belgium. And I'll tell you the reason for it. And unfortunately, I saw something that concerned me a lot. Just this week, I saw actually the analysis of Vlada Duncheva of the EU chart. Okay? And the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that we're going to have later this year is going to occur right on the moon of EU chart, which is in Taurus. Okay, so having a moon in Taurus is an exalted place, and right now the moon is approaching that. So as we speak, the moon is approaching this point, and even though moon is in Taurus is great, so for the EU chart as a chart, having a moon in Taurus is lovely. It's a place where the moon is exalted. But because we're going to have Jupiter and Uranus conjuncting, there can be radicalism around religion and revolution, around ideology, around philosophy, around technology as well. And the moon on a mundane level is the sign of the people, which is why moon in Taurus is exalted. So this is not an astrological consideration for elections of political entities, because it was a good election in terms of the moon. I didn't look at the rest of the chart. In terms of the moon, it's a very good election to put the moon, the people, in a place where it's exalted. But right now we're having a transition that's very difficult on the chart of the EU. And it's going to be difficult to the people. And so what we need to take a look at is this place of Taurus. Okay? Ukraine has significant placement in Taurus. We saw the Ukraine war when the eclipses were on the Scorpio-Taurus axis. With the last eclipses on the Scorpio-Taurus axis, we saw also the 7th of October. Okay, in Israel and Palestine, it's just this very Taurus Israel sun, I think also Venus. And well, Palestine is more on the Virgo Pisces axis, so there's something quite tricky here because it's on the 12th house of Israel, 12th, 6th of Israel. But we definitely saw conflicts arising, yes, around eclipses. Now we're done with the Scorpio-Taurus axis, but what we're going to have is this Uranus with Jupiter conjunction that can lead to revolution, unrest, and so on and so forth. Now, Mr. Wilders wants to separate from the EU, and I recently addressed that, and I said, do I believe that it's going to happen? Well, I believe that the entire EU is disintegrating, with the pros and cons of that, and it's quite possible that Netherlands would be a part of this disintegration process. Yes, but now when I'm looking at the chart of Belgium, yes, I am seeing Chiron and Moon conjuncting in Taurus. While they're absolutely not near the point of the Jupiter-Uranus, it does mean that if the Jupiter-Uranus is going to be on the moon of the EU chart, then any Taurus placements are susceptible. Any Taurus moon placements in countries are susceptible. And here we have a Taurus moon with Chiron. And so the prediction is that indeed the people in Belgium are going to be highly affected, perhaps more so than other countries, or more or affected by the Jupiter-Uranus on the moon of the EU chart, more so than other countries. Yes, and since we already have this elections in Netherlands with a person that declared right in 2006 that he wants to have annexation of parts of Belgium and separate from the EU, and because the EU has this moon in Taurus that's going to have the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction on it, which on a mundane level can definitely mean religious revolutions, upheavals, terror attacks, because Uranus's explosion. Again, you put religion with explosion, you know, the suicide bombers, absolutely that can be from religious warfare or from ideological or philosophical. This whole thing's Jupiter. It's all those things. And Taurus is land, so there's going to be revolution and based on religion around land. Yes, and financial situation. There can also be upheaval around the social credit score or digitalization of coinage and stuff like that. So creating all kinds of either technology-based fintech stuff, which is not just mine. I think both Lada and Victor addressed it with the Jupiter-Uranus. But specifically here, I'm not saying it's 100%. Yes, but when I saw this chart, I have suspicion that there can be this situation. 2006 is also can be quite problematic because it's going to be nodal reversal for 2026. I'm sorry, it's going to be nodal reversal for Belgium. Okay, so this is this is very troubling for another reason. It's not just astrological. Okay, of course you can delineate that astrologically. I don't know how to do this, but I can tell you, the International Court of Law, basically the place where you go to if you have an issue with war crimes, is in The Hague, in Netherlands. Okay, this is a structural problem. Let's say they put it not in Netherlands. Let's say they put it in Beijing. Okay, and that means that, so if in Beijing there are war crimes committed in the entire country, how will we litigate? Yes, this is a structural problem. Yes, this is not a problem with Netherlands. It is a problem of structure when we come to think about an international court of law. We definitely need to be able to litigate on war crimes. We definitely need to be able to enforce law. And now there's a structural issue of how do we do that? Perhaps it is too centralized. So we want to have some sort of governing, which relates to another problem in politics, which is representation versus the ability to govern. Okay, the ability to govern simply means the ability to rule. Let's say we want to have public housing for the next 150 years. Yes, if we don't have a lineage of kings that are going to promote that, how do we secure that in a government that is being replaced every 4 years? It's a big question. It's a big question. This is an inherent structural question. On the other hand, if we have a kingdom, then we don't have representation. And so if the king likes women, okay, king likes women, he says, all women will have best of clothing, will have best of this, will have best of that, really likes women, but then the problem, he can like women also sexually and then not protect their rights. Okay, so they can grow in abundance in the kingdom, but he also wants to sleep with them whenever he has. But then he will have a daughter, and the daughter will be a queen, or he will have a son, and he will be gay. And this gay, he likes men. So all men can be in the best of clothes, can have the best of food, but they must sleep with him before the wedding. Okay, this is the problem, and this is not. This is taken from history. I mean, this is actually things that are done. And so this is a structural problem of governing versus representation. And it applies to the juristic system as well. Now, what happens when you want to litigate for war crimes by Netherlands, in Netherlands? Because if there will be a war, there can be war crimes, right? How do you litigate? How do you enforce it? Is a question that I don't think the UN has dealt with since its foundation. Okay, Netherlands is not in the Security Council, so it is considered a neutral country. Okay, it is not with the losers of the war, but it's not with the winners of the war either. It's considered neutral country. To put the ICC, you understand that also the considerations here were not considerations that when you want to preserve peace seemed illogical. And who are the P5? There's China, Russia, Great Britain, France, and US. Okay, so all you really needed is a country in Black Africa, and then you would have a lot of representation even, because you have representation for the East, for the West, for the more communist regime, for the more capitalist regime. There really was quite some diversity in the structure of the UN. We also need to remember this, because as we come to change, and changes are happening in the world, we also need to remember that there was context to what was done, and it's very likely that now it's not anymore eligible, not representational enough, and so on and so forth. but the problems are inherent. And in this situation, if there is going to be an armed conflict in the Netherlands involving the Netherlands as occupiers, by some, okay, some would see them as liberators. Same with Crimea. Yes, some Crimeans see themselves as Russian. Some Crimeans see themselves as Ukrainian. It is just so. But anyway, it is an armed conflict. Anyway, it is an annexation in praxis. And if there are going to be war crimes here, it's going to be quite difficult to litigate. And so my deep concern is that if something like this is going to happen, it's going to be not something that anybody would want to look at the footages. If you can think about what was happening in the 7th of October, who gave the order, who this, who that, those things that were happening, that I would not repeat here, and were filmed on tape, like it's on snuff by someone. Those things are basically even more difficult to bring into the International Court of Law for war crimes when they happen in Netherlands. Okay, so this is something to keep in mind. If you are living in the region, again, it can be nothing, but I think that if we can predict towards 2030, if you can predict what are the places where there can be armed conflict, and what are the places where something can happen, then yes, the third Taurus part, or the third Taurus moon is indeed Belgium. Yes, and Netherlands has been having all the conditions to do what Mr. Wilders wants to do. Okay, whether it's around Islam, so there were the pro-Palestinian demonstrations that some were peaceful and some were Nazi. I can't say it otherwise. Yeah, if you paint a swastika next to the Jews where you believe Jews live, then you just then Palestine from the river to the this is a genocide. It's calling for genocide, okay? And so it's made it very easy for Wilders to receive the voting of the people who don't want all of this in their country. The Jews are living there, they're quiet, they have their businesses, they don't make noise, they don't make problems. Okay, in the Netherlands, very important not to make problems. Not to make noise, not to make problems. Okay? You make a lot of noise, they see, that's my problem, they don't want it. So the path was paved for him to mark these people as Islam, although a lot of Palestinians are also Christian. And probably more diversities that we just don't know about because some of them were genocided by their own people, kind of like Syria and Iraq. But it is a situation here where he had a lot more legitimacy to use this card. It's like, hey, I'm going to throw these people out. Like, you're not going to have these problems. Okay, if you're Dutchy, if someone tells you you're not going to have a problem, someone's going to eliminate a problem for you, they have your vote. Especially when they say they take all the houses, and all these people, these Dutch people living in Canada, living in Dubai, living in the United States, now get troublesome. They will be able to afford a house in Netherlands. Never seen that happening before, but it's a card that you can use because the trouble with housing in Netherlands is very big. And to change the basis of the values to the family values. Okay, now family is a strong word in Netherlands. There is familie and there is gezin, which is the closest, the nuclear family. It is already very strong. And the first word you learn when you study Dutch is gezellig, which basically means something like cozy, to be with your closest family. That being said, if you are homeless in Netherlands, you don't expect your parents to help you. They just think you need to do it by yourself, which is a wound that they have. They literally have Chiron in Aries natally. But Belgium has Chiron in Taurus, which is quite terrifying because Taurus is land. Taurus is women. Taurus is food. Okay? And so the risk of annexation here is quite big, and because of the structural problem that makes it more easy to get away with war crimes, then there's a big problem. I know that there's the desire to separate from Europe, from the European Union, which I don't understand it so much, because in terms of the policy, you can't grow crops in all of Europe, including Netherlands. You can't literally grow tomatoes or lettuce, or just like it's no longer allowed for you to be self-sustainable with food. Very difficult since COVID. Okay, they passed that. They were with the lockdown policy, with the forced vaccination policies, all of these things. And now they're separating from Europe. It's like, well, how are you different from Europe? And they're deporting refugees, same as Europe. It's like, how are you different from Europe? But no, they want to separate from Europe. And if the EU is disintegrating, then that's a realistic move to do. It's like, hey, we need to take care of our own. How? Selling our country to the 2030 agenda, like everyone. Okay? But we're going to be seeing visuals like the things are falling apart, but they actually are uniting under something that's not necessarily in favor of, Henk and Ingrid. So, or Tom, Dick, and Harry, and so on. Or Jane and Mary. So, this is my little prediction. It's a doom and gloom. Yes, it can be nothing, but if you are living around the region of Netherlands, of Belgium, the point is not the annexation. Maybe you live in Belgium, and like many people in Crimea, you see yourself as Dutch, and you have no problem with that. Okay, just move to Netherlands, to another part, which will be very difficult because of the housing problem. Understand? Because if there is going to be conflict, it doesn't matter which side you are or what do you want, or if you have a referendum. Until the referendum will come, there can be invasion and all the atrocities, all the horrors that we've seen in Ukraine, that we've seen in Israel, that we've seen in Palestine, that we've seen in Russia, and that we have not seen and happen. That unfortunately can occur here, and it's going to be a particularly not easy, and there are going to be civilians hurt, okay, with this one for sure, because Moon is the people. If there's annexation of land, Taurus, the people, Moon, are going to be hurt here. If you ask when, then the Jupiter-Uranus, I think we are expecting the Jupiter-Uranus around April. Yes, we are expecting the Jupiter-Uranus around April. This is important. Where to go? So I'm not. It's not that I don't have professional skills of astrology, but there are things that I can say I'm professional. There are things that I don't know where is safe for your life to live in under these circumstances. There's a whole field called astrocartography. Okay, so you want to look for people who give astrocartography. Yes, consultations, and you want to consider things. Also, I must say to you, I can tell you from Israel, I had the honor to give a reading to people who were evacuated, and as I had expected, the Aries Libra or the Taurus Scorpio was falling in their 4th and 10th house. Okay, so the fourth house ruler, if you have these, then those situations can be, and so it is manifested for you to relocate. If it is around eclipse, there can be something fated more so than we know. So again, I don't know to give you advice where to move to. Yes, I can tell you if it's if you have Aries 4th house or ruler of the 4th house in Aries in general, regardless of war, is how am I becoming more inclusive in my housing, or what countries are more inclusive? Okay, that's the question for you. If it is the Jupiter-Uranus, then the question is of religion. Where is there freedom of and from religion or beliefs around land that are compatible with my lifestyle? Okay, a lot of people with the Jupiter-Uranus, and this is a general teaching, a lot of people with the Jupiter-Uranus will begin to rethink, why do I have to pay for land? For land, for soil, because they're going to make us pay for air too. Why do I have to pay for water? Why do I have to pay for energy? If I have a solar roof, I install a solar roof. Why do I have to be connected to the electricity company? In some countries, you must be connected. Okay, and so a lot of people will begin to have radicalization around the value of land. Either they will want land very much, or they will begin to have this radicalization. It's like, who are you to charge me property taxes? I live here. I don't rent the place to anyone. I don't rent the place to anyone. I'm not making profit off of tenants. Why do I have to pay you property taxes? I'm a homestead. I grow the crops for myself. Why do I have to pay anybody to buy the land? Okay, and so on and so forth. And then there are going to be other things that we're actually going to want from a government, or it's going to be radicalization towards like, hey, if there is a war, how come I don't have a house when I'm evacuated? I did not vote to go to this war. I need a freaking house. I need a freaking... I had so and so acres before they disallowed me to grow crops. Okay, if I go to the farmers in the Netherlands. Okay. What do I need to... What's the government doing in my crops? Who are you, Mr. Government, to tell me to grow? But let's say I can't grow these crops. Yes. How about my income, my money? How am I going to have? Give me food then. Of course, give me food, because if you give me money, it is written. Yes, so give me resources, give me food. Give me food. I cannot do myself. I can grow myself, but if you don't allow me to grow myself, then you give me food, please. And you don't have any, you say me, oh, there's no food in the world. Well, I can grow food, it's no problem. You see? So we're going to have a lot of radicalization of opinions. Some of them are going to be, hey, Miss Government, you have all the technology and the resources. You could do social credit score and change the entire financial system, but you don't have rice for me today? Okay? Or alternatively, dear government, why do I have to pay to live in a house? Why do I have to? I want to set a tent on a land. It is somebody on this land and nobody on this land. Why do I have to pay someone to put a tent on the land to sleep there? Well, you're supposed to work. For whom? Because you didn't give me a house when I was homeless. Okay? those things are going to come up. But when it comes to land fights and annexation and philosophies around land, all those liberating the motherland, unfortunately, they can come up. Like I said, the Jupiteranus, before I saw the degree, I was beginning on the 21st degree, then on the 22nd. Before I saw the degree, I was like, oh my God, Jupiteranus is going to be booming of technology, booming of science, radical philosophies and radical acceptance by religions of LGBTQ and stuff. It's going to be a lot of good stuff too. And then I saw the degrees and I'm like, oh, there's going to be mass death around religious and philosophical. And Jupiter is like expanding on it. Oh shit. Okay? And it's going to be around land, so radical wars around territory justified by ideology or religion. Okay, kind of like this conversation 9,000 years ago, the Palestinians is like, but Judaism came before Islam. It's kind of like, there are people who need to live in some house on some land, grow some crops. Whatever your religion around that, this is like, this is my religion. I need a house with some acres, grow crops, and be able to walk free. That's it. You threaten that, I don't care what your religion or lack of religion. So here, this is arriving, it's very much likely arriving at Belgium now. Now, I don't know, let's take a look at Belgium in the news because I really haven't been following. So Belgium is the country, but now look at what I see. Belgium, immediately I see Amsterdam, Netherlands, and Paris. A very interesting map here drawn. Okay, let's see the news. So a little bit of news. Israel. How is Israel? Well, I live in Israel. What can I say? So pardon that. Israel diplomatic dispute with Spain and Belgium over Gaza bombardment. Now you understand why are we in dispute with Belgium? Because Belgium is going to be the Gaza in the story. Or so they see themselves, or the Crimea in the story. Or so they see themselves. Okay, some people in Crimea see themselves as Israel. Or not as, yes. But you get, and understand that Spain, which needs another episode, I need to check it myself, I haven't looked into it. Spain, Andalusia, and all those things, they're also like a point of something that can grow to something volatile. Yes, Israel, but it's more than Israel right now. So again, 85 Jewish graves defaced in anti-Semitic attack on Belgium cemeteries 2 days ago. Okay, what is more simple than for Mr. Wilders to say, very much like Putin, I want to denazify Belgium? Think about the Jewish people in Belgium. Who stands for the Jews and for Israel? Well, there's this Geert guy. But he's very right-wing. Well, but he stands for the Jews. Nobody else does. Yes, this is how Trump got elected and supported by the electorate, not just by Jews, also by black people as well. Yes, and also by his conservative, and whatever it is that you think about, this is good, this is bad, this is this is that, whatever you think about this is a part of how he got elected. Well, he acknowledges Israel. It was this Obama guy that, I don't know, thought it's okay to bomb us or something. What can we do? We live here. And it's not like you're offering us a place to stay. There's, we can grow our own crops, that we can settle, begin anew, and be pragmatic. Because people are pragmatic. There are Arabs, Israelis with blue ID, which basically means they have the nationality of Israel. They serve in the army. They volunteer to the army, okay? Because they're pragmatic. It's like, hey, if I can live here, good, and it's okay, it's no problem. Not the best, but yes, but for Jewish people, it's getting less and less this way, the more anti-Semitic attacks, and so it's very unlikely that Jews will say, okay, no, Israel, what can we do? Oh, we live here. Not very likely to happen. People have, after the Holocaust and after you have anti-Semitic attacks like the Holocaust right now outside of Israel, not very likely to happen. I'm being here very realpolitik here. I'm not being ideologic, because this is mundane. This is mundane. This is what people do, not what people should do. Okay, what people should do, everybody should have land. I don't care what religion, what this, what that. Nobody should threaten another person. You should live and let live. Nothing like this, that a woman lives alone in a village. She has to be thinking about if somebody will, to be afraid, and people will ask her, where are you living? Are you living? Oh, the fuck you care? Live and let live. But this is what should be. Okay, what is another thing. So I want to see more on Belgium. It's going to be all Israel now. Judo weekend. Okay, so some house transformation. Okay, this one is interesting. Belgium to focus on public sector European blockchain during its EU presidency. So Belgium is going to rule the EU, and Netherlands leader wants to, he still is not the prime minister, but there's like, we don't know if it's going to happen. It's still difficulties, but there is a risk, okay? And the guy wants to part from the EU, and Belgium wants to rule the EU, and he wants to annex a part of Belgium. Okay, you can see the troubles. And so they're dedicating time to some technological changes in the coinage, so digital coins at the start of 2024, started in 2018. And so this means that Belgium is going to be governing the EU for the time that the whole crazy thing can happen. So there's the desire to leave the EU. Is getting, and this is Flanders. Flanders is the region that Geert Wilders wants to annex. So cycling runs deep in the culture here, riding cobbles in the countryside of Flanders. Yes. So the Belgians love their cycling, Flemish speaking, and there is the desire to unite, which very likely means annexation. So standardized Dutch language test introduced. European website on integration. So this is 2 weeks ago. Flemish region of Belgium, recent change in civic integration courses requires newcomers, whether participated or voluntarily or mandatorily in civic integration program, to undergo standardized Dutch language test. This is something that happens in Netherlands, but now they require it in Belgium. It's 2 weeks old. And they can only require Belgian nationality or access social housing. Social housing, okay? They said to me, where can I study a language and just get a house? I was like, no, it's not that. If you married someone, if you work there, if you're a resident, you need to take a Dutch test, okay? So there's something very interesting. This is just 2 weeks ago. 26,000 individuals are enrolled in Dutch language courses throughout the country. September 2023, uniform mandatory standardized Dutch test was introduced for all non-native speakers. If you're a native speaker, you're free with that. So this is by the Flemish government. And the new Flemish government in May 2019. So yes, the first test was organized in Antwerp. Okay, Antwerpen is a very big city in Belgium. And think about annexing Antwerpen, like think about Great Britain annexing New York. Okay, New York City. Yes. It evaluates basic Dutch proficiency at A2 level, writing skills. So through the language, moves are being made. And now we have another thing from 4 days ago. Belgium's on again, off again hunt for the man accused of corrupting the European Parliament. Okay, this is a bit of juice. Qatar's labor minister and a Moroccan diplomat were discreetly sought by Belgium as part of the Qatargate investigation until they weren't. Okay. Brussels, should key figures be accused of corrupting the European Parliament be arrested or not? That's the question at the heart of the scandal known as the Qatargate. The most serious corruption allegation to hit the European Union institution in decades. In spouting Belgian police and intelligence investigation, major diplomatic and government figures have been accused of funneling payments to members of the European Parliament in exchange for influencing decision in favor of Qatar and Morocco. Okay, now one of the great drug cartels that also is responsible by proxy to the killing of Peter de Vries in Netherlands in June 2021 is the Moroccan mafia. Okay, so that is, it may or may not have to do with this. Like, I don't know. There are many cartels. I know the Moroccan mafia because of the Peter de Vries case, but that's it. In January, Belgian authorities issued a national notification to the arrest of Qatari Labor Minister Ali bin Samik, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Al-Mari, his aide Bathar Boujelal, and Morocco's ambassador to Poland, Abderrahim Atmoun, according to the Belgian police reports seen by Politico. Okay, so there's this criminal activity, corruption. They wanted to freeze the Moroccan diplomat's assets in France, including a 3-star hotel and apartment and the bank. Okay, you can understand how it's difficult that a diplomat has a 3-star hotel that he owns, not that he stays in, that he owns. On the other hand, like, should a diplomat not have, should diplomats not have assets? Okay, just there's a problem here. But you can understand that if something happened in this hotel that was not legal, it would be very difficult to litigate because it's a diplomat in the EU. And this is a structural problem. Okay, so this is just something that's on diplomatic immunity, yes, no. But this is a very big scandal. And a lot of people are dealing with these corruptions, with these mafias, with these drug cartels. And there are missing people, there are murder cases, people feeling unsafe, shootings in streets, like all kinds of really fucked up stuff that make life for the, for Henk and Ingrid, quite troublesome in what they consider is their own country. And it's like, it's just all these people doing it. It's not even Dutch. Okay. Of course, when a black man shoots, it's usually by the order of a white man and vice versa. But that's another story for another time. Okay, so there's Belgium opportunity in Al-Hakam, okay, 2 days ago. Mohammed Arsalan, Belgium correspondent. November 19, 2023, Wakifat, now from Belgium, had the opportunity to meet Hazrat Khalifatul Mashi the second in a virtual mulakat. Now, I have no education whatsoever on the topic. I have no idea who these people are. Please forgive me. Below are some impressions from the participants. Ashna Emar said, "This will truly be an unforgettable memory. We'll always be grateful for our beloved Huzor, the first, made time for us." Okay, so this is something like it's royalty. I guess this is a meeting with royalty. Is that the case? So it's just special meeting. And yes, this is probably very local news. So maybe you know more about this and you can write in the comments. And okay. Spain open to recognize Palestinian state, even if EU agrees. Spain is probably my next mundane episode. Belgium candlelight vigil in solidarity with journalists in Gaza. Okay. UK woman murdered in Belgium identified after international appeal. But if... Okay. It's by the Interpol. Oh, the one time that Interpol do something is very interesting what they do. After 31 years and something about human trafficking in Netherlands, but okay. Black notices. It looks quite political to me, but I could be projecting. Identify me appeal. Oh, okay. Why they call him Spider in the Web? Peter Morse, the Chief of Staff of Belgian Prime Minister Alexander De Croo, is set to become the Belgian ambassador to the EU after UA, after the country's 6 months presidency of the Council of the EU period ends in June 2024. June 2024. So it's going to be in the shade of probably the second eclipse that we have. Month shade, okay? But this is interesting to say the least. And Netherlands and you, home Belgium, the Netherlands and Belgium. 13 September 2023. Okay, it's official page. Ambassador in Brussels. Oh, it's just the embassy of Netherlands in Brussels. Belgium Deputy Prime Minister wants Israel sanctioned over Gaza war. Is 2 weeks ago, while Geert Wilders stands with Israel, so you can see how it feels inspired by Israel. So you can see how they collide. This is the episode. And again, if you are living in the region, if you know somebody that is close to this region, when the conjunction is happening on April 2022, it's happening on the moon of the entire EU chart. Okay, so this is also information that's beneficial to you. It's related to the entire EU, so if you're thinking like to relocate, I don't know where to tell you. You know, the world is going crazy. But this is something you need to take into consideration. So it's like, oh, we'll move to France. It needs to be something more than that. And again, it's not sure. Maybe nothing happens. Yes, it's not for you to make. It's not not giving you paid advice or certified advice. So you still have to do your own research. But I thought that this would be important to bring, and the next episode will be probably about Spain. So thank